Hey, Sessie Stuff. I'm Emma,
And I'm Blythe.
and we're here to review Week 11, Georgia versus Ole Miss. Let's get to it. So, Blythe, how did you feel about this game?
I was not surprised by this. I was actually one of the few out of our Sessie Stuff group that actually picked Ole Miss. I had a great feeling about it going into it. Like I've said all year long, I have not been sold on Georgia. They have not impressed me whatsoever. This is not the same Georgia team. This is not the same Beck. I don't know if it's because you don't have Brock Bowers out there or George Pickens. I'm not sure, but they're just not driving for me this year. And this was definitely the biggest win in the Lane Kiffin era. It's the first home victory over a team ranked in the top 2 in the AP, the top 25 in Ole Miss history, and the first time Georgia has lost to an SEC team outside of Alabama since a loss to Florida in 2020.
I will put an asterisk next to that. Lost to Alabama or coaches who worked under Nick Saban.
Exactly.
Yeah, but no, I
This
was.
was just, it was so exciting to see. You had fans storming the field a little too soon. I think they had like 16 seconds left on the clock. But just they needed this. Like we've talked about. Like Lane Kiffin needed this win. We have talked about this every single week. He needed that one win to just put them over the edge and not be just the same Ole Miss team that we see usually every single year. You might win 9, 10 games. They needed this, and I felt it coming. I truly felt like it definitely would be this weekend. I know some people disagreed, but this win did not shock me one single bit. Now, hopefully, they keep this momentum going the rest of the year. Hopefully, they're not just, this one and done huge win and the moment gets too big and they don't finish the season strong. But for now, I was not shocked.
I was because I remember I said if I have never seen Lane Kiffin win in a big moment like this. And
Yes.
until he wins in a moment like this, I don't trust him and I will pick Georgia. I was thrilled for him. I was worried at first though, because Jackson Dart went out there, he got hurt. And I was
Yes.
like, oh no. And then their backup went in, and I was like, well, this is game over. Like, there's no way he's going to put up Jackson Dart. He drove him all the way down the field and got a touchdown. And I said, oh, okay, the backup can do that. So I think we're okay. And then Jackson Dart actually wrapped his ankle up and returned to the game. So I just think their offense is on fire. They have players who are tough and want to push through and win in these big moments. And I was blown away by this offense, their effort they put in. Dart playing while he was clearly in pain and mildly limping. It was
Yeah.
interesting to see.
Yeah, it was. And it's just disappointing because I think Beck has not lived up to what everyone thought he would be. I mean, people were putting him in the Heisman race. I mean, he has just not lived up to that this year. I don't think they have really anybody that explosive on offense. I don't know if it was the loss of Bowers and Pickens, but even Trevor Etienne has not been what we thought on the ground.
No, he hasn't, which is it's shocking to see. But Georgia has, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. They have had one of the toughest schedules in the SEC with what they've had to do. They had to go to Texas. They have Tennessee coming up. They just had to play at Ole Miss. So they went to Alabama. So they've had a very difficult season all around. But then you look at games like Kentucky and Mississippi State, and you're like, why are these struggles for you? Why are you not absolutely dominating these teams? So this is not the Georgia of late by any means. And a lot of that has to do with the offense. And I just think if Beck connects a pass, the receiver drops it. And if the receiver is ready and actually going to get it, he throws it way over their head or to another player on the opposite team. So this offense is just so disjointed. However, we have seen moments of greatness from them, like in the Texas game, like in the Alabama game, coming back and making it competitive at the end. So they're fully capable. I just don't know exactly what's going on with them. And this, to me, does nothing for their confidence moving forward. And I think especially in November, you want to build confidence in these games. Like Alabama just went into Death Valley and mutilated LSU, and that gives a team confidence going into the end of their season, going into the playoffs if they get there. So Georgia has a lot of soul searching to do. Their momentum is completely slashed. They're going to be playing Tennessee next week. They do have their rivalry against Georgia Tech coming up. Georgia Tech just beat Miami. Granted, Miami hasn't been playing as well as they've been ranked, in my opinion. But Georgia hasn't either. And Georgia has now moved down to 11, Ole Miss above them at 10. So I'm wondering how they're going to fare in this Tennessee game. My initial thoughts, without breaking anything down with it, is they'll be angry and they're really going to want to show out. I believe it's a home game, so I would say they win that game, but I would be scared if I was Georgia. I would be like, you really got to regroup quickly, focus on fixing things with the offense, particularly in your receiver core, to maintain any hope for postseason. Because if you get into postseason and your first game is against, I don't know, Ohio State, whoever the Big Ten loser is, so Ohio State or Oregon, just guessing.
Yeah.
But you play them and you play like you're going to get your butt's kicked, and it's not going to be pretty, and you're going to embarrass the SEC. So I think they have every capability of playing strong and being that Georgia team that we've known and loved. But this was not their week at all.
It was not, and I think moving forward, if they do lose to Tennessee, then how does this look going forward?
They're going to be in a bowl game. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like it's weird to think about. They've had a very difficult schedule, but at the same time, they have not been playing up to the level we've known of Georgia. And you're not going to do that every single year. One year you're going to slip and fall. It's just whether or not you can rebuild after that. But Ole Miss, I mean, their aggressive strategy is paying off. They've gained momentum, confidence. They positioned themselves well now to be serious playoff contenders. I'm excited to see how that plays out on Tuesday, where they have them ranked. I would assume above Georgia, like the AP poll did. But it is scary now if you're a Georgia fan. You mess up against Tennessee, you lose to Georgia Tech, who's just proven they can.
Right?
I think Miami was 4
They
or
were
something.
4.
Yeah, so they've just shown they can beat a top tier team. What do you think's going to happen moving forward? So it's going to
I'm
be
not convinced on anyone.
no, not at all. Like even like Alabama going and beating LSU by a large margin in Death Valley. I'm just like, I don't trust you. You also lost to Vandy and Tennessee. So what's going to happen? But it is going to make the SEC race. It already has made the SEC championship race that much tighter, that much more interesting, because say Georgia beats Tennessee, which I think they will at this moment in time, then we have a lot of 2-loss teams in there.
Yep.
It's and then Texas, or maybe Texas A&M beats Texas. I mean, we got 2 losses galore, and it's just going to be like, how are we going to work this out? So
It's really going to be how the playoff rankings and how this committee looks at these wins and losses. Are they looking at head-to-head? Are they looking at resume? Are they looking? I mean, every person judges it differently on this committee.
Yeah, they do. And moving through November, which like you always say, it's a November to remember.
It is.
We've been remembering pretty much every month at this point. It's been a crazy season, and I'm so excited to see what happens this week, especially with Georgia playing Tennessee. And I think that is, again, it could be another playoff eliminator game, just like the LSU Bama game was. LSU's not making playoffs. If Tennessee is able to beat Georgia, Georgia's not making the playoffs. It's just too tight this year, especially in the Big Ten, what they're able to do with Oregon, Ohio State, what is that? Indiana. Oh my gosh. He's a great coach. My God. I remember an interview, he's like, look me up. I win. And I was like, okay. Yes. So this is going to be a very fun year. I know Penn State's in it too with them. So I mean, Big Ten and SEC, that's where my money is. One of those 2 conferences.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Yeah, but It's going to be fun. We thank you for watching week in and week out. We will be back later this week to preview our week 12 matchups. So see you then. Bye-bye.
Bye.